Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Steph and I have some explaining to do. The video you are about to watch for some of you is going to look very familiar. In some ways it's going to be the throwback of the century. In other ways, for those of you who are newer to my channel and haven't been around since I've done Read It Down, you're going to be like, what the fuck is happening? I'm here to explain. So about a year ago, I had a series on my channel called Read It Down, and I did it for 2 years. And it went from being a monthly series on my channel to a bi-monthly series on my channel because I had then started Love It or List It. So I was kind of switching back and forth between both of those. So Read It Down was like my baby. I really love Read It Down. The thing is, I got a little bit burnt out on Read It Down simply because the concept of it was that I essentially was trying to read down my own physical TBR. And the way that I was doing that was I would ask a friend or a guest, somebody that I really admired on YouTube or that I just really love their content. I would ask them to send me a video clip telling me what books from my physical TBR they wanted me to read. And then the third book in the video was a mood read. I have a whole playlist of these down below. There's probably like 15 or 16 of these videos, and I loved making these, but I got a little bit burnt out because it's very hard to constantly find different guests to be on your channel, and not so much because people aren't willing or there aren't a plethora of people that I would love to be featured on my channel. It's more because of the time constraints and like having different schedules and needing to get it done monthly. That was another thing that was burning me out. Besides always reaching out to people and like trying and hoping and praying that they would be able to get me a video by the beginning of the month, which is a big ask. It's a huge ask, and I started getting fatigued by asking that question all the time. But secondly, the other fatiguing aspect of it was doing it monthly and like forcing myself to do it monthly, which is why I did end up switching to bi-monthly. And the whole thing was that if I didn't accomplish reading those books within the month, then I had to go on a book buying ban. I just think it was a bad combination, specifically last year when I finally decided that I needed to take a break from it. And I was still kind of continuing to do it on my Patreon. So that's why this video is probably gonna be a little bit confusing. I was still doing some Read It Downs on my Patreon, and that was one of the perks that I was offering in general. When I first started Patreon, it's obviously no longer a perk because that's not what I do anymore, but I was offering a bonus Read It Down, which would happen every 3 months, where I would have somebody come on and pick 3 books. And I did not have a mood read in this one. It was just 3 books that they were picking. And so the last one that I had been working on at the time when I decided that I needed to take a little bit of a break from Read It Down was Erin's, which it's been a year since I filmed this introduction with Erin when she came to visit me. And so I've been working on this kind of for a while. Like I got the first 2 books read pretty quickly, and then I just have not been in the mood or the headspace to finish this video until recently when I realized that I really missed Read It Down. I just want to do it differently. I want to do it where it's more exciting for me. And unfortunately, Love It or List It is something that I do enjoy, but I don't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Read It Down. I feel like in theory, they're just a little too similar anyway. So it's like, why have these 2 separate things? So Read It Down is coming back, question mark? But I'm gonna be changing it up. I will be changing it up, and there will be a video coming out probably in January. So that being said, I'm not explaining what the new Read It Down is going to be like in this video, but I wanted you to know that this is like a time capsule of my life, because the very beginning of this, Erin and I meet in person for the very first time. So that's like the introduction, is we're together in this video, which is so exciting. And then I talk about Goose. Like we got Goose for the first time in this video, or like I start talking about the fact that Goose has shown up in our garage. At the time, we were calling him Gus Gus the garage cat, but then when we really adopted him, we named him Goose. So I'm talking about that for the first time. It's so funny. There's also like no B-roll in this at all. I don't really know what I was doing, or if because I just spent so long making this video, all of the B-roll that I was gonna use for it just like don't exist. So I may just add in random B-roll here and there. But the other thing is, I never got around to doing the third book in this video. So I thought, let's remix this video and let's make it a mood read, because I do have a book that I really want to read. And it's a book that Erin has been begging me to read. So I'm gonna be popping back in, probably looking exactly the same, to tell you my mood read once we get there in the video. But thank you for bearing with me with this introduction. Let's actually get into the beginning of this video where Erin is visiting me and she picks books for me. Hi! Look who we're here with. We're here with Erin. So as you may know, Erin is the reigning champion of Read It Down. I don't feel like I need to explain Read It Down to people on my Patreon, because you've watched the episode. But she's the reigning champion of Read It Down. She not only did amazing in her first episode, she also won in the battle for the crown. Some would say that she cheated because she picked Robin Hobb and made me read 2 books. If you want, I'll link those both down below. But she's back.
Only losers would say that I cheated.
I'm not a loser at the game. I'm always a winner because I'm getting books off of my TBR. So she has a bag full of 3 books. As you know, for the bonus episodes, I let them pick all 3 books, and I don't have a mood read. So we're gonna see what Erin chose for me. Guesses wise, my guess is the one that you read this year.
The Stars Undying.
Yes, The Stars Undying. I don't know if you would pick it because I'm already in the middle of reading it, so it wouldn't make sense, but I felt like you might pick that Emily Tesh book I just got, but it doesn't make sense because I'm already reading it. Third one, I'm not sure.
Because I thought I only had 2, because the regular.
Oh yeah, and then you picked the second one. I feel like it's all gonna be fantasy and sci-fi, but you might like throw in a little romance. So if I had to guess a romance, it would be the new one that I just got, which is about the summer adult camp. I think it's called Summer Feeling. So those are my 3 guesses.
Okay.
I said no Robin Hobb. I just
she was like, rules. And I'm like, man.
Oh no, Malice by John Gwynne. Okay, those are my guesses.
Okay. I think you're gonna be somewhat surprised at what I picked.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start out with the one that you did guess correct.
Okay. Okay.
The Stars Undying.
I'm actually really excited about this.
This is, do I tell them what it's about?
Sure.
This is a queer Shakespearean, Mark Antony and Cleopatra inspired story in space, and it's a queer normative world. Both of our main characters are bisexual, and so we follow this world where the leader of this planet is the Oracle, and the Caesar character lives on. His consciousness has been uploaded into this computer-like thing, and he speaks directly to whoever the heir is. In this society, these 2 twin sisters are in a civil war over who is supposed to be the heir, and one of them asks this other Mark Antony, but kind of more another Caesar type character. Well, no, the Oracle one is Alexander the Great. The Caesar type character, one character asks them to help them win the war, and it is a complicated like romance between those 2, and it's like very political. Really love this one. Highly recommend audiobook.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts? You got this one right.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one because I think it was like one of your highest rated books at the beginning of the year. As we know, Erin still hasn't had a 5-star. It is now June. I don't know when this is going out, but hopefully let's send some prayers out that she'll get a 5-star. But I am excited about this because I find that I really love like queer space operas as opposed to the ones written by the straight men. So.
Okay, the next one, you did not guess this one at all.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was so much fun. The pages were turning themselves. I was eating it up. Okay.
Okay.
I did. I'm surprised you didn't guess this one.
Okay, and Erin got this for me. I'm so excited because you loved it, and then Michelle and the Patreon loved it, and I just have seen nothing but good things. And when I read the synopsis when I got it, I didn't know it was about vampires.
Yes! And so, since we really like the other fantasy romance vampire series, this one is a very different tone.
Yeah.
But both of the goddesses are the goddess of night, which was really cool. And I ate this one up. Thought it was so much fun. And like, it's similar to Blood Grace in the way that it's a really well developed fantasy world and fantasy plot line, but it happens to have like a romance in it as well.
Okay.
I like this one more than Daughter of No Worlds.
Okay, that's the one I was
but that was at her debut, which it wasn't bad, but I like this one more because also I'm more partial to vampires, and it has like a competition element as well.
Well, say less.
Now this last one, you would not guess in a million years.
Okay.
Okay, so the last one I chose was A House at the Bottom of the Lake. I gave this one 5 stars. I absolutely adore this book. It was so, I read it in one sitting. It was so unsettling and so creepy, and like the horror of the unknown and what could be. And it takes place like mostly underwater, which, you know, I think the aliens are underwater. So,
Yes. They are.
And it's a short one in comparison to the chunks. So
I appreciate that.
I really
you know, that
love
is the one thing she did do for me in my episode, was you gave me a good combination.
I mean, you read the rest of the series on your own, but I chose, because Assassin's Apprentice is like the shortest book in the series.
Yeah, you did pick 2 shorties for that one, and that's not what I was expecting. This is exciting because I've never read Josh Malerman, but I actually found this at a used bookstore and immediately got it because you loved it so much. And as you know, Erin is not necessarily a horror girl, so for her to love this, I'm very excited. I think Kayla also really liked this one.
I read it on her recommendation because we did a video where she picked my TBR and she picked
Oh,
that.
that's why. Okay. Very different. We have a sci-fi, a fantasy, and a horror, which is like, sci-fi maybe not my most read genre, but
She says that as she's currently reading 2 space operas. I just want to put that out there. But on her own volition, she has started 2 space operas this weekend.
we'll see what I end up giving them. Thanks for, you know, coming back, even though you're already the reigning champion.
You know, I don't know if I have 3 hits in me that way specifically, but we have 2 4 stars and a 5 star from me. Those are my ratings of these. So,
And I'm a little easier to please, I feel.
I think if nothing else, you'll enjoy them all, even if they're not favorite.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Hi, sorry about the lighting. It is so hot in this house that I had to close all the blinds, but I wanted to update you because I did finish in basically one sitting The House at the Bottom of the Lake. I don't know what to rate this. I genuinely went in this with the highest of hopes, but I have noticed, to no fault to either of us and our tastes, Erin and I have different tastes in horror. Now, I will say this is such an intriguing premise and such an interesting premise, especially how it's executed. I think I wanted a little bit more from the ending, but I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed the horror and eerie / creepy aspects of this book, but the dialogue, the way they talk to each other, it just really threw me out of the book every single time. Like, I did not vibe with his writing style at all. And I had to switch from listening to the audiobook to reading it physically because I thought it was the audiobook's fault. And no, it was just really the dialogue and the way that they were talking to each other and like the characters themselves. And I know that the point of this is about the horror, but the premise of this is 2 teenagers going on this date. So they like meet at his hardware shop or something like that. And he asks her out on a date. She says yes. They go kayaking and they find these like hidden parts of the lake, and they keep going and they get to this 3rd hidden part of the lake and they see this house literally at the bottom of a lake. And they are very drawn to it and they want to explore it. And so creepy stuff starts to happen with them wanting to explore it. And I think there's like this draw not only to the house, but to them as a couple because of this house. So the premise of this was 10 out of 10. Like, I really loved this concept. I loved the idea of this, but I do think that because the whole aspect is them being kind of convincingly on a date and like having chemistry, maybe it doesn't have to be about chemistry. Maybe I just got too caught up in the fact that these characters just weren't it. So like I said, it's hard for me to rate this because I think the horror elements were there. Although arguably like he could have went harder. I don't know if this is like a debut, if this is like his first novel or like among his first couple of novels. I feel like it is. In the order that it says here, it says Bird Box, then A House at the Bottom of the Lake. So I know Bird Box has been like super well received by everybody. I've watched the movie, so I don't really have interest in reading the book, which is usually the opposite of what people say. or they read the book before they watch the movie, but I wasn't really into horror the way that I am now, so I kind of just passed and watched the movie. So yeah, I mean, this wasn't a favorite, this wasn't like a hit, but I feel like in my gut, in my heart, and if I were not being lazy recently and actually used CallPile, this would probably end up being a 3 stars, like a low 3 stars. But I am glad that I read it because I've always been curious about this book, and I think that it has opened up my eyes that maybe Josh Malerman is not for me because I don't seem to like his writing style at all. I don't vibe with it either on audiobook or physically. Speaking of the audiobook, don't listen to it. The narration was so confusing and I just didn't enjoy the narrators as a whole, but like the narration itself was very confusing because I don't know, I've never actually listened to a book that has done this before, but it was in 3rd person and there were 2 characters, so they had 2 narrators and the narrators went back and forth between chapters, but there was no actual like POVs, so it wasn't like one chapter was in the boyfriend's perspective and then another chapter was in the girlfriend's perspective. It was literally just 3rd person the whole time. No specific POV per chapter, but they switched back and forth in the chapters with the narrators. So I was very confused. I was very confused until I realized what was actually happening. So I don't necessarily recommend the audiobook to you. I don't have the book on hand right now. I think it's upstairs. I did start Serpent and the Wings of Night, and let me tell you, I'm only like 30 pages in, but I'm really sucked into it. I definitely want to read it. I have to finish another book that I'm almost done with before I can fully dive into that one. But I'm so excited because I do feel like this is going to be a strong rating. I feel like I'm gonna love this duology like everybody else has been. So that's really fun. Serpent and the Wings of Night is a success and will probably be highly rated because all I can do is think about reading this book. Like I so desperately just want to curl up on the couch and read it, but I had to finish a video and then I have to go to work. And what am I gonna do? Because I actually have to work at my job, so I can't just read it on Kindle Unlimited. And I'm very upset. But anyway, I'm like 200 pages in and I'm loving it. The bad thing is I'll probably want to dive into the next one and I can't do that because I'm actually trying to stick to my TBR. Hi friends, so it's Thursday and it was the last day of my Girls Who Code, which is like a whole thing that I don't want to get into because it makes me kind of emotional, not the ending of it, just like how this whole program experience sort of made me feel. I'm sure this is how like actual teachers feel, if not worse, because I definitely wasn't teaching every day for 5 days a week to hundreds of kids a week. So it's very different, very different. I was literally teaching 10 kids. It was just like, it taught me a lot about myself and what I'm capable of and what I'm not capable of. But anyway, I decided to treat myself because I was gonna come home and like clean the house and get things together. And I decided, you know what? It's time to finish this. So I'm 280 pages in. So I'm like that far and I'm really loving this. It's like all I want to read. I've just been reading at it, like not slowly, but I haven't had that much time to physically read. So every moment I have to physically read, I will steal that moment to read this book because I'm enjoying it so much. I'm like very excited to see how this ends because I have no idea where it's going. But also there is a novella and a second book and I'm like, where else is this gonna go and how is it gonna end? Because I know it's gonna be a 6-book series, but all of them are duologies with different couples and I'm like, oh, are we about to meet some of those couples? I am hoping that Michelle, I think that's how you pronounce it, but I'm hoping that Michelle has a series because I would love that. I would really love that. I mean, I guess depending on how this ends and what her fate actually is, I would hope that Michelle is somebody that gets a book. And right now, like I can't think of who would, but there's a whole second book and a novella, so you know, I'll probably be introduced into whoever it is then. I also guess I should tell you what this is about. So this is following our main character Aurea, and she is a human and she was adopted by the vampire king Vincent. During this vampire war, her family was massacred and she was the only surviving person. I think she was about like 9 or 10 when this happened, and he had some sort of fascination with her and decided to adopt her. Not in any weird way, he literally just adopted her and they have a father-daughter type of relationship. So Vincent has been training Aurea her whole life to kill vampires and kind of be a badass, and I think it was to lead up to this moment of her getting into this competition called the Kinjari. And honestly, like, think of vampires in the Hunger Games except maybe a little more bloody, I don't know. But essentially it's this competition where they have to kill each other, and there can only be one standing, and the last one standing gets a wish fulfilled by the goddess Nyaxia herself, which is why this is called a Crowns of Nyaxia novel. So Nyaxia is the goddess who created vampires, and so she will grant whoever wins the Kinjari one wish. There's no stipulation of that person winning having to be a vampire, so Aurea's goal is to win and to be turned into a vampire. It's interesting learning about the vampire lore in here because it's not like anything I've ever read before. I've always read where vampires can easily turn humans into vampires and it's not as deadly as it seems to be in here. I think at one point Aurea says like only 1 in 3 humans ever make it during a turning, so like I'm pretty sure vampires here are born. We don't fully know yet, to be honest. Like, the world building has been a slow trickle, but I think the vampire lore is very interesting to me just because I haven't really read much like this. So like I said, turning a human isn't very common in this world, whereas I feel like in other vampire lore it's very common. It's kind of the norm. And these vampires actually have their own like country and a ruler. So Vincent is a ruler of part of the vampires because there are 2 that we know of vampire races and they're actually at war with one another. And that's also a very interesting backstory or just background situation happening, is this war between these 2 vampires and the way that we're only getting kind of one side of this issue because Vincent is, I know I'm going to say it wrong, but I think he's Hijari. So he is a specific race of vampire and the 2 races are against each other. The other one is the Rashan, and the love interest in here is actually Rashan. And so that's been interesting because this has that trope that I like where a character has known something their whole life and now they're learning new information that's kind of turning things on its head for them. So I love that. I also love a competition. I love that this is bloody and that people are dying and no one seems or feels safe. I don't actually know if this book is a happily ever after. I have not looked at that. So I don't feel like anyone is safe. I feel like anyone could die, even our love interest, which probably won't happen, but like it feels like it could. So anyway, I'm treating myself to spending the rest of the day laying on the couch, eating snacks, and reading this book. I'm really wanting to finish it right now. Also, since I'm apparently feeling chatty, I've talked about it in the Discord, but basically a stray cat showed up in our garage. And this isn't the first time this has happened. The garage is kind of a safe space. There's a lot of subterranean parking here in Los Angeles, and especially where I live, because I live on the couple of blocks in my city that are all like rent houses and apartments and condos. So there's a lot of parking garages. And we have strays and like cats that actually live or are owned by somebody in the neighborhood that come in and out of our garage. But this one stray showed up, it looked like a kitten, and I was just kind of ignoring, not the cat, but the situation for a time because I've seen these cats go in and out and I didn't want to get attached because I easily get attached to animals. And so this one though, this cat just kept sleeping by our stuff and it was very skittish at first. Like it would always run away from us. It didn't really want anything to do with us. It would just sleep on our stuff in the garage. And so we were just trying to leave it alone. But then one day Jared was like, no, I want to give it water because it's been so hot. So we started giving him water and then we started feeding him and then we named him. And now the cat is obsessed with me and he is literally at my door right now crying. I just heard it when I was talking to you about the book and it just breaks my heart. Like I don't know what we're gonna do with this situation. Either way, we're gonna take him to the vet to get him fixed and I don't know what's gonna happen, you know, after that. But this cat is obsessed with me. And it's very funny because I was the one who was like, no, I'm not going to get involved in this. We can give him water. And Jared was the one feeding him. But somehow this cat, even though I've only ever fed him, at the time, I had only ever fed him once, he still got obsessed with me. And I just don't, what did I do to deserve this? Because I know I just have the worst feeling that my heart is going to be shattered into a million trillion pieces about this cat. And this is why I didn't want to get involved in it anyway. I'm not going to sit here and cry on camera, but I'm already attached to this cat and I already feel like so sad that he's living outside, even though I know cats are very resourceful. He's just a baby. He really is a kitten, and he has huge paws, which he's going to be a big boy. But like, I just kneeled down to give him some more water today, and he nuzzled my face and made biscuits on my leg. Anyway. Hello besties, I finished Serpent in the Wings of Night and I'm absolutely giving this a 4.5. Now I know you're like, oh, that sounded like you were gonna say 5 stars. This really could have been a 5 stars for me because I was very into it. It was all that I was thinking about. It was all that I wanted to read, and I very much want to just jump into the novella, and I think I might do that today since it's short, but I won't be able to get into the second book until next month. But I want to, you know, so Aaron inspires that in me for sure. But I think the reason that this is a 4.5 and not like a glowing 5 stars for me is mainly because I love Carissa Broadbent. I do. I think her ideas are amazing. I do think she can string a sentence together very well. But sometimes I think she overwrites things and like repeats herself a lot in certain circumstances. So the ending felt so drawn out because there were certain things that kept being said over and over again, and it was like, I understand. It was weird because the last 100 pages simultaneously went so fast and then so slow because I was like, okay, where are we going from here? What are we doing? And I also am nervous to see where the story goes because of how this ended. I'm just so nervous because I'm not gonna lie to you, Rain is my man. I'm just nervous. I'm nervous about the second book because I've seen such mixed reviews about the second book. Like Christine and Aaron both gave it lower ratings than the first book and said that they liked the first book more. And maybe that's just because there is a tournament in here. And I think that if you love the trope of a tournament, like it obviously concludes in here. So the second book has been set up in a specific way in here, but you know, it's going to go in a different direction. The dynamic of the characters are drastically different. The dynamic of the world that we have been introduced to, drastically different. And I'm interested to see how that works out. There were some decisions in the end that I wasn't super excited about. I didn't love. So again, that's why this probably is a 4.5. Now I'm very curious because Tor picked this up. What will and will not be edited out and what will be added in that version. So I would definitely love to reread this whenever that version comes out because I do kind of want to get a hardcover. I'm not the biggest fan of like the weird green snake that they decided to color correct. So I don't know. So yeah, this was a 4.5. This was very fun. Like the ending, I was screaming, well, silently in my head because Jared was asleep and I was laying in bed and I was just like, I was gasping because this ending really got me. And I feel like our girl, I really like her. I do. I tend to like female lead characters anyway, even when they're dumb. But she made a really dumb decision in that ring and I kind of expected it, but I feel like she made certain decisions that I'm questioning. Can't wait to finish the series. I also read the first book in her other series. I don't know what the series is called, but the first book is called The Daughter of No Worlds. And I know it's a trilogy, it's completed. And I tried to read the second one and I just wasn't as into it, but I was listening to them on audiobook and I gave the first one 4 stars. I did enjoy it, but now I'm wondering if I should try to read it physically because I read this physically and very much enjoyed the physical reading experience. I don't know what the audiobook would be like. It's not out until like the 15th of August, but now I'm wondering if maybe I like to consume her books physically. So maybe that's something I'll test out at a different point in time. Maybe if I finish the series and like it's a new favorite duology, then potentially, but I don't know. I liked this world, and I like the worlds of her other series, but I like this world a little bit more, and I like the love interests a little bit more. Anyway, I'm gonna go read the novella. So I'll probably just update you on it anyway. Also, I know you may not care, but because I brought you along for us getting a new couch and side tables, I would like you to know that Jared just got a lamp. So this is how things are looking. This is the new lamp that he bought himself, and he really loves it. I don't know, it's hard to like see, I guess, but you get the gist of it. Things are really coming together, and I'm loving the side tables so much more now. But anyway, I'm gonna go eat my food, and then the 90s Rewind readathon that I'm hosting on Patreon starts today. Hello, I look very rough right now. I have a couple updates. So some of you may know that there was an outdoor cat. I may have actually talked about it in this vlog. I can't remember because I'm doing a couple vlogs at the same time. There was an outdoor cat that was living in our garage, very skittish for a time. Jared was like, oh, we should give it some water. It evolved to us kind of feeding him once a day, and then he adopted us, basically. He was very skittish, didn't want anything to do with us, just wanted to sleep in our things. And then we started giving him water, gave him a little bit of food because he seemed like he was a kitten. We didn't know what his situation was, but we weren't trying to bother him, you know? We just wanted to make sure he was good. But it devolved to a point where he was at our door screaming for hours. So Jared and I decided that we were going to bring him in at some point. We wanted to take him to the vet to see that health-wise he was fine. We wanted to get him neutered, and then we were going to bring him in. Whether or not we are actually adopting him is going to depend on how the girls and him, you know, react to each other, because I don't know how he is with other cats, obviously. Last night we decided we took him to the vet to get a wellness check. The vet that we took him to didn't do like on the spot spaying and neutering, so we made an appointment for another day, but we did get the wellness check, and based on the tests and stuff that they could get back right away, he was healthy. He is a kitten. They're estimating that his age, he's probably closer to 1 than, you know, an actual kitten. But we should be getting more test results soon. So far, they're saying he's healthy, but he is isolated. He's isolated in the office in our second bedroom, and he'll be isolated in there probably for a little bit until we get like everything fully taken care of. I think it'll be longer than a week just because I don't know how long his recovery will be with his neutering. And I'm very excited, but also so nervous. But in other news, so I'm just like very anxious because of him, but also like work related stuff. So I didn't really sleep well, and I ended up waking up and reading more of the Scorched Roses, 6 Scorched Roses or 6 something roses. I don't know, the novella. I'm enjoying it. I'm not exactly sure how it fits into the series, like why you need to read it between, but I'm sure I will find out soon enough. I'm tempted to look up why, but I'm afraid that it'll spoil something for me, so I'm not going to. But I'm hoping to finish that today, and then I'll probably just jump into The Ashes and The Starcursed King, because why not? And I will say this is the second time that Erin has been a guest on Read It Down, both on my main channel and now the bonus episode, and I have read an entire series because of her book choice. So I think she still remains the queen of Read It Down despite ratings, the reigning queen. Hello, we're back in present time, and what a ride it was to edit all of that footage, because I have actually edited all of the footage before I decided. Erin and I actually decided. She's the one who convinced me to like bring this particular video to the public. It was just going to be a Patreon only thing, and she was like, I think you need to bring it to the public to give them a taste of Read It Down again, to like get people excited about Read It Down again. I want to get excited about my life. Erin is nothing if not the most convincing person in the world for me. I don't know. She went on a little campaign. She always campaigns me with ideas. She'll tell me the idea, and then I'll say, why is that? And then she will send me paragraphs or a voice note explaining her reasoning. A lawyer, people. Erin is a lawyer, a people's lawyer, the lawyer of the people. Anyway, as promised at the beginning of the video in that very long-winded intro, I said I would pop back in and talk about my mood read for this video. So this is very much a mood read, but it's also a book that Erin has been begging me to read recently. Erin read, I think, the first 2 books in this series recently, and she's been like, you need to read it, you need to read it, you need to read it. So I'm reading it. I'm reading the Book of Azrael. I did try to read this a little bit earlier this year. I just was not in a good place mentally. So reading was actually just not happening for me in general, but I'm definitely in a better place in my life. Please, a round of applause. And I'm very excited to dive back into this one. My first try, I did make it to 20%. I was enjoying the world a lot, and I did like our main character a lot. I definitely did not put this down because of a lack of enjoyment. It was truly just me and my brain at the time. So this is the one that Erin has been begging me to pick up. She thinks I'm gonna love it. She ended up loving it. I mean, I think it was like so close to a 5-star for her. We are not rating books anymore. I do think in the beginning of this video, now that I say that, I did rate the 2 books in the video because obviously they're from a year ago. But at this current time, this present time in my life, I am not rating books anymore because it's definitely made my enjoyment for reading go up a lot. So I'm not rating books at the moment. I will tell you when something is a 5-star. Like when it's a 5-star new favorite, I will not be coy about it, okay? So yeah, we're gonna be starting this. It is my work from home day, so I do have some emails and some meetings that I have to do. But other than that, I'm going to try to be listening to this on audio whenever I can, when I have downtime. And I'm probably gonna clean a little bit today because this house. Also, because I do talk about Goose in this video, I wanted to give you a little update on Goose. Because who doesn't love cat content? Who doesn't love little Goose? So, say hello to the people. This is Goosifer. Can you tell the people that you're very, oh. Okay, not the time, not the time. I need you to tell the people that you're very healthy and happy. Are you happy? He's a little scarecrow kitty. He has like a little scarecrow nose. He's very healthy, happy, and sometimes a little meanie. He's sometimes a little meanie, but more often than not, he's a big sweetie. The unfortunate thing is that this little one and Olive do not like him. Hello, I wanted to do a quick update because I finally started the Book of Azrael last night and I made it 70 pages in exactly. I read this in one sitting. I haven't been reading physically very quickly most recently, but I flew through these 70 pages before falling asleep. This doesn't normally happen to me, okay? I've got a good 15 minutes in me before I'm out. It's funny, I've read like 25% of this book before and I do remember the beginning fairly well, but something about it this time is really sticking with me. I'm just like really enjoying this story a lot more than I was the first time around. Again, I've said it a million times, my mood very much dictates my enjoyment of a book. It's a very unfortunate part of my being, but it's very true. And at the time of first picking this up, I was in a very bad mental health space. So it just makes sense that now it's working for me because I'm obviously in a much better state. Hopefully that's obvious. I don't know. I am, and very much liking this. So I'm excited because this is another one in this video where I'll probably, depending on how the rest of this goes, I mean, I'm 70 pages in. I think this is like 400 and something pages. Let's see. Oh my God, there's art in the back. Yeah, this is 496 pages. So we'll see. I have a long way to go, but I have a feeling that I'm gonna end up loving this. There are 3 books out currently in this series, and I think overall there's gonna be like 6 or 7. So that makes me nervous. That makes me very nervous because recently there have been some indie published authors that I've loved what they're doing, but they keep pushing back release dates and it's very sad times for us readers. I think the number one thing that's so intriguing about this for me currently is the world and like what our character is. She is this type of creature that I cannot pronounce. I can't pronounce most of the things in here, not for a lack of trying. Just, I don't need to embarrass myself further on the internet. But she's like this demon creature and she was made, but most creatures that fall under her realm of what she is are usually born, but she was made. And there's like a big gods war that happened and it's like these creatures versus celestial beings. The intricacies of the world are very, very interesting and what keep me like intrigued and wanting to read more. So I'm excited to like read further and have a better synopsis and understanding of the world for you, because I'm not gonna lie, like despite reading 25%, I don't think I remember much of the world building. So yeah, I mainly just wanted to update and say that I started, and I'm actually enjoying this so much more than I was the first time, and that's very exciting to me. So I will update y'all when I'm like 50% through and have like a good grasp on the synopsis and the world. Hello, it's me and my stupid hair that just always flips out right there after I straighten it. Okay, so I felt like it was really necessary, especially in Read It Down, because I used to make a lot of drinks while doing my Read It Down series, like matchas and stuff, to do one with you. And I've been experimenting a lot with like different syrups and flavors in matcha. And Jenny brought to my attention this like cherry vanilla matcha. So I got the ingredients, okay, and we're gonna try it out right now. But I do want to say that I wanted to taste test the syrup. Well, I got like these really fancy, I'll show you in a minute, but I got these really fancy cherries that like people use in cocktails because I was like, this is gonna be high quality. Anyway, I decided to try it out in a Coke, and yeah, if nothing else, I'm glad that I got it for the Coke. So these are the cherries. I just found the best ones I could find in my grocery store. I've never tried them before, but like I said, I did some quality control and they're pretty delicious. And then I will also be using the vanilla from Monin because this is my favorite syrup brand. Let's make this matcha and see how it is. Okay, it's time to try it. The cherries sunk to the bottom, but it's okay. You know, funny enough, I think it could use more syrup. I thought I was gonna use too much, but I actually think it could use more syrup because it doesn't really taste like either the vanilla or the cherry at this point. So I think I just need to workshop it and add a little bit more syrup. Yeah. Add more syrup. Add more than you think that you need because this is delicious. Add more syrup, okay? Don't be afraid of it. Hello friends, we have officially made it to the end and I have a few things to update you about. Also, just addressing the fact that daylight savings has happened. The lighting is gone. It's abysmal. It also feels like it's 10 o'clock right now. And I literally just ran to the kitchen after I finished this book and I was like, oh my God, I forgot to feed the cats. No, they still have 2 hours until they get fed. Contrary to them yelling in the background, they still have 2 hours till they're fed. Also, I realized I was only halfway through editing this video when I came back and reintroduced it. And then I just recently edited the second half. And in the second half of the video, there was a portion of me talking about 6 Scorched Roses, and I just never updated about that. I thought that I had a clip updating y'all about my thoughts and feelings about 6 Scorched Roses, but then I had this distinct memory that this video actually was put on pause because Goose had to have major surgery like not long after we brought him into the house. So right when I was talking to you about bringing him into the house, we were like so excited about the fact that he was gonna be here and that we were adopting this new cat potentially. But yeah, I never updated on the fact, probably because it was like so jarring and so much was happening at that time. He had to have major surgery and he had like 3 weeks of recovery. It was a lot. Now I know why I didn't finish this video and why I didn't update about 6 Scorched Roses. And I can't really tell you much about it because I don't really remember that much about it. The only thing I remember was that I didn't love it as much as I loved the first book. I kind of just read it and moved on with my life. I just remember that the main character of that book, the female main character, she was like a scientist and she was trying to cure this disease for either herself or her sister. And one of the things that she realized would be a cure or would work really well is the blood of a vampire. So she goes and visits this like reclusive vampire that the whole town hates and makes a deal with him for his blood. I think that's what it was. It was just very unmemorable to me. Beautifully written, but it was just very unmemorable to me. So that's my update for it, I guess. Not great. That being said, I finished the Book of Azriel, and I know I was supposed to give you a 50% check-in, but this week has been so much. I have worked a ton. One of my best friends, Austin, came to stay with me from Wednesday to Saturday, and then Halloween was on Thursday. So this week was just like jam-packed with things. I was barely reading and therefore barely updating as well. So I ended up finishing this today and I really, really enjoyed this. I will definitely be moving on with the second one. I am so glad that I gave this a second chance, but I was really nervous for a second because I can't lie. There are a lot of lulls in this book for me personally, and I don't know if I should chalk it up to the book or the fact that I had to listen to this over the course of like 8 days, and I don't usually consume books like that, and it actually kind of annoys me when I have to consume books over a very long period of time. But I normally, on average, finish a book in 2 to 3 days, and so anything longer than that, I start to get a little like antsy and frustrated because the story feels so disjointed to me, or if it was the book. Part of me thinks it's a combination simply because I don't tend to love when characters are going on these quests where they're bouncing back and forth between different areas and talking to different people to get information from this person, and then this person backstabs you, and then you have to go to this other person to get other information. Like, I don't usually love that because it's very jarring to me as a reader. I don't know. I like a quest. I like a hero's quest, but sometimes when it's like a lot of questing and a lot of talking to different characters, that sometimes wears on me as a reader. So I think it was a combination of things within the middle of this book. As for the premise of this book, we are following a main character named Diana, and as I said before, Diana is this like creature that was made, and the creature is called an Igmorothin. And in this world, Igmorothins were thought to be extinct, but they actually aren't extinct. They've been in hiding, and usually they're born, but Diana was made because many years ago, like thousands of years ago, she and her sister were in this desert land. Her and her sister were left for dead from this plague. Because Diana is so loyal to her sister and just loves her sister with every fiber of her being, she calls out for help, and Caden, an Igmorothin, answers, and he basically says that he will turn them into Igmorothins with his blood if she is willing to serve him as like his right-hand man. So she is expected to do all of his bidding for him, killing, intimidating, etc. And she is a killer. She's a born and bred killer in this book. She is a very like murderous woman, and she will do anything for her sister. So for the protection of her sister, she continues to be Caden's right-hand man. They do like sleep together. They do have this like romantic relationship, but love is not there. Love does not exist between them. It's more of this weird obligation to each other, but more so Diana's obligation to him so that her sister is always safe. Caden is on this hunt for this Book of Azriel, so he's constantly asking her to do these different missions to try to figure out information on this Book of Azriel. We don't really know what this Book of Azriel is. We just know that it was written by a god from a long time ago before the world ended. So in the midst of searching for this book, we do find out about this person who is the world ender, and his name is Liam, or Sam Kyle. Those are his two names in this book, and he is obviously known as the person who ended the world in the Gods' War. And so Diana actually gets captured by Liam on a mission trying to find this Book of Azriel, and that's when their stories kind of collide. And I just had a lot of fun with this, but like I said, there were like dips and valleys in my enjoyment with this book. I was a little bit nervous in the middle that I wasn't going to love this as much as I was loving the first quarter of the book, but the last 30% really takes it home for me. The ending really gripped me, and I just need to move on with the rest of the series. I think the really fun thing about this book is it does have that urban fantasy feel, but it is set in its own world. There is like technology, and there are very familiar aspects to this world, like that are reminiscent of our world. And I actually really love that because I think a lot of the fantasy that I read is more like medieval inspired, and this one had that like urban fantasy feel. If anything, I think if you're a Crescent City lover, and Aaron also said this, I think if you're a Crescent City lover, you will probably enjoy this book because it has a lot of those elements in it. But this really goes for it in terms of the murderous main character. Like, she is an angry, murderous woman, and I really, really love Diana for that. Liam was a character that grew on me. I didn't actually love him in the beginning. I really enjoyed his character arc. I really enjoyed getting to know him more. Also, this book really utilizes like info dumping in an interesting way because our main character, Diana, she has like blood dreams, and so she can see people's memories through these blood dreams. And so we were getting memories from different characters, and that kind of pieced together Liam's story for the most part. But also we were getting flashbacks from him and these dreams that he was having. So if you're ever looking for a prompt about dreams, because I think the Magical Readathon or something recently had a dream prompt, this has dreams in it, has lots of dreams. But I just really enjoyed that aspect of the world building and like the info dumping about characters. I think I really enjoyed it because it didn't bog down the story and it didn't actually feel like info dumping. Like it felt very organic to how this book was being told. I also think the magic system and the creatures in here are fairly unique. Like there are vampires and there's werewolves and there's witches. We don't get to see a lot of those creatures except in the very beginning. But then you have the celestial beings, which I haven't seen much of in a lot of the fantasy that I've read personally. So I really liked getting to know them and the magic that they have, but also knowing that there is larger magic and creatures to be explored in this world is very exciting for me moving forward because I love a fantasy that has a lot of different creatures. Lastly, romance-wise, this is for sure a slow burn. You aren't gonna get a lot of romance in here. I would say the last quarter is where the romance really ramps up. But once you get to the romantic part, it's very tender. They have a very tender romance and I started really falling for them and rooting for them to be together. So yeah, I guess I'll immediately download the second book because I've got to know where this goes. Thank you so much, Erin, for being a part of Read It Down for like the third time, and she's always the reigning queen. I'll be honest, I think she knows my taste better than me at this point. If you haven't checked out Erin yet, I will have all of her information down below. She has amazing content and amazing vlogs. I will link some of my favorite down below as well because I think that you should watch the vampire vlog and the dragon vlog. Those are some of my favorites. She does like creature features. It's so fun. You need to watch them, so I will link them down below. Also, thank you for sticking with me through this very chaotic video. I know it is all over the place. This is not normally how Read It Down goes, but you know, we make do with what we got. Like I said, Read It Down is coming back. It's gonna look completely different than this. This was just a little fun throwback, a little throwback Thursday, a little throwback Tuesday, because you're gonna be seeing this on a Tuesday, maybe. So keep an eye out for the next episode, probably dropping in January. I don't think I'm going to start in December. I think I want to do it in January as like a fresh start, but who knows, maybe I'll get impatient and do it earlier than planned because that's just how I am. But again, thanks for sticking through this video. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you've made it this far and you just want to say hey, feel free to leave a bee emoji down below and I will talk to y'all next time. Bye, friends.